Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mr. Cook, and today on Monday, November 16th, we are going to be making bar graphs. So let's get started. For the first quick checkup, we're going to talk about a problem that's more of a picture graph. It says, Jacob grabbed 2 handfuls of connecting cubes and graphed the cubes by color. Use the picture graph to answer each question. First one, how many cubes did Jacob grab in all? So that means, boys and girls, we're going to be adding all of our cubes together. So that means we need to be adding the red, the yellow, and also the green cubes for all of them. So the first thing that we can do is we can actually count up all the pieces on each one. So for red, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. For yellow, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then for green, I've got 2. So the first thing that we can do, boys and girls, we can actually add these all together by making a number sentence by saying 4 plus 6 plus 2 equals our answer. Or we could do another way of just counting up all of the pieces that we have right up there for you guys. But I want to do it on the way on the bottom first, so let's take a look right there for you guys. So I know that I have 4 red, 6 yellow, and 2 green on the bottom here. So one thing we can do is we can actually just add either 2 of them together. So I could do 4 plus 6 first. I could do 6 plus 2 first. I could also do 4 plus 2 first. Or we could just do them all together right now. So let me do the first picture. I'm going to draw the number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to draw the number 6, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to draw the number 2, which is 1 and 2. And remember, I'm using circles for this, boys and girls, because it's a lot easier to organize all of our stuff. So let's count all these up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that means 4 plus 6 plus 2 equals 12. One other way that I could do this also, boys and girls, is if I take a look at my numbers here. I could add the 2 smaller numbers first, which is 4 plus 2, which I know would equal 6. So that means our problem would be 6 plus 6. And if you're really good with your doubles facts, you would know 6 plus 6 equals 12. But that's just one more way to do it. Or something simple, look at the top of your pictures and just count them off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that would show me that 12 people voted in this graph all together. Alright, so last part right here, boys and girls, our second question. How many more red cubes than green cubes did he grab? So when we have questions like this, we're trying to find the difference between the red and the green. So we have to take a look at which one has more, which one has less. I can see that the red cubes have 4, and the green cubes have 2. And we want to find the difference between those two numbers. We talked about this a little bit in the last unit, but when we go to find the difference, we have to do subtraction with this. So we're going to take the biggest number, which is 4. Then we're going to subtract 2 to find the difference between 4 and 2. So if I'm doing subtraction, I first draw the biggest number, 2, 3, and 4. I do not draw the second number because I'm taking those 2 away. So I take away 2, I'm left with 2. So 4 minus 2 equals 2. There are 2 more red cubes than there are green cubes. One other way that you can do this is if your stuff matches up with your picture, you can always just cross out these 2 on the bottom to cancel those and see how many more are left up top. Alright, so boys and girls, let's get into our bar graphs. So, first thing we have to do is what information can we get from this bar graph? In a survey, 3 people voted for an oak tree, 4 people voted for a pine tree, and 6 people voted for a cherry tree. So we're going to complete the graph here on the bottom. The one difference between a bar graph and a picture graph is we're going to be not using pictures, but we're going to be coloring in each block as we go along. So, boys and girls, remember when we color these in, we need to start on the left side only. So let's get started here. When we start with the first one, it says 3 people voted for the oak tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pen here, and it's not going to be the best, but I'm going to try to color these in completely. So when you do the bar graphs, you have to color in those pieces exactly perfect, just like that. So it doesn't look fantastic, but you get the idea of it. So I've got 1, I've got 2, and I've got 3 for my oak tree right there. Now, when you guys are using your crayons and stuff, I'm sure you could use a better way of coloring those in completely. The next one, it says 4 people voted for a pine tree. So let's color those in. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now remember, we want to color those in completely. I just don't have the option to do that right now. And the last one, it says 6 people voted for a cherry tree. So let's go down to the bottom. Now remember, we're not going to start on this side. We're not going to start in the middle. We always have to go in order, starting with our numbers down over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the cherry tree. And another way that you have a bar graph on the bottom is a lot of times it's labeled with the numbers right there to make it easier for you guys to see what or how many votes were taken on those. So for our guided practice today, boys and girls, we wrote the totals in the right side of our chart last week. You might have seen this already, but we changed up the numbers a little bit. So for the square up here, boys and girls, remember when we're looking at our tally marks, whenever you see something that's closed in, we automatically know that that's 5 tally marks. So all we have to do is start counting by 5, 6. So I know my total up here is going to be 6. If I look down at the triangles, I'm going to see that I have to count up these tally marks. So I see 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then for the circles, I know off the bat right away when I see the cross through that's going to start with 5. So I'm going to go 5, 6, and 7. So I've got 7 there on the bottom. Now we're going to use this information today, boys and girls, to make our bar graph here on the bottom. Last week we had made a picture graph. So if I were using a picture graph here to count up the shapes for the squares, I would draw squares in here, but we're not doing that. We're making bar graphs. We have to color in each spot as we go along. So let's start with the squares because that's the first thing that we have up top. We have 6 total squares here, so I'm going to make that into my bar graph on the bottom. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The next one that we're going to do, boys and girls, is going to be the triangle, starting right down there at the bottom. Remember, we always start on this side right here or wherever your information is starting. So if our graph was facing upside down, or if we were starting here, we would start there at the bottom, just like that. But always go near where you're talking about for your votes. So for this one, the triangle has 4, so we're going to color in 4 boxes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last one, boys and girls, for the circle to make our bar graph, you guessed it, we're going to be doing 7 of these. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So our bar graph here on the bottom, boys and girls, obviously, like I said before, is going to be colored in a little better when you guys do it because you're going to be having crayons and you can take your time with that. Now, boys and girls, the last part that we have today, I'm actually going to be telling you guys to get to work. You are going to be completing the remaining pages on 535 to 538. There are also optional pages, 539 to 540, if you want a challenge. The students in class are going to be working on making their bar graphs as well. But here on the bottom, if something we can do in class may not be at home, but maybe you have the option to ask some family members, you're going to ask 10 friends to name their favorite playground activity, and then write the totals in the tally chart below. We can actually do this in class, but like I said, boys and girls, if you want to complete this activity at home, you're more than welcome to. All right, boys and girls, good luck.